I've been having some trouble writing my next review, or at least finding the right episode to review. So I think I should tackle something easier.
So why is this show called Our Cartoon President? No one knows. But I'd like to think that it's because we're all in this together, folks.
Yes, they gave the president his own cartoon. My first reaction was this is a horrible idea that'll just serve as nothing to piss people off. Then I remembered Family Guy. The show that cannot be funny anymore, so results aren't causing controversy. The only difference here is that they are going after one group or person every episode. Also, Family didn't start out this way, and they are at a point now that they can do this without getting canceled because they are money. I would just like to put a disclaimer here saying I'm not very political. In fact, I don't even have a voter's license ever since I moved last year. I would honestly just stay home and watch My Little Pony. But to be able to enjoy a parody, you shouldn't have to actually know much about the original content to find it funny or enjoy it. Take Spaceballs, arguably one of the best parodies of all time. If I didn't see Star Wars before then, I would still be able to enjoy it because it creates its own world and rules. A parody shouldn't be 22 minutes of somebody elbowing you saying, huh, huh, get it? It should be something enjoyable to those who haven't even heard of Donald Trump, especially as a cartoon. I know adult cartoons don't exactly have the best reputation, but with things like BoJack Horseman, being an adult cartoon is no longer an excuse for being bad. Let's take a look at the characters for a second. Donald, who is basically a watered down Stan Smith from American Dad. A side plot of this episode is that Donald didn't have anything planned for his anniversary. Okay, so then it's the joke that he's rich, so he doesn't care about what he has?
Hey, I didn't get 3 women to marry me by breaking promises.
Actually, I think that might be it. Then we have his two sons who are idiots. One of them is more of an idiot, and that's the only difference between them.
Remember when everyone said you were the dumbest person in the world? Then we showed up on TV and they were like, we spoke too soon?
Hey, look, they just said something that they wouldn't say. Get it? No, actually, I don't. Just because they are rich doesn't mean that they shouldn't want to improve, at least in the show's world. Parody or not, you've still made a show that has to entertain. If you don't want to do anything with your main character, then show how awful they are. What is the point? Maybe I'm taking this too seriously, but I can only review this show as some sort of spin off because I have no context. Sure, they show the highlights of the election in this episode, but that isn't enough. This is a pilot of a cartoon on Showtime, which is a network you have to pay extra for. A pilot is supposed to introduce you to its characters and give context of what the world is. I know having the segment at the beginning is not enough either. I know BoJack's first episode isn't the best, but it does at least introduce the world and the rules and where BoJack stands with these people. No side characters have any personality, and we don't really see how Trump bounces off of these characters, which, by the way, is one of the basic rules of comedy. One person cannot hold a joke on their own, even in slapstick, because yes, that is one person, but they still have an impact with another object. In this pilot, all we really see is Donald Trump here, and no one else really needs to be here. He talks to other people, sure, but all of his lines really seem to be him thinking out loud. And I suppose that is kind of a political thing to do, but it shouldn't be towards his own family. Even if this show wants to make Trump out to be the worst possible person ever, which is a bad idea for a main character in general, but even so, there still needs to be a character we can root for. And I suppose it is supposed to be Melania, maybe? I mean, she is the only halfway likable person in this episode. But giving her the C plot of the episode shows me that the show isn't really focused on her, and that the show would be exactly the same without her. I mean, she even tries to leave in this episode. Her character is basically on autopilot. It's almost like the creators of the show were like, oh shit, this pilot is terrible. Every one of the characters is an asshole. Don't panic. We're not doing anything with Melania's character. Just take an episode of Family Guy and give her Lois's character whenever she was a character to root for. Because yes, she is nothing more than the nagging wife in this episode. So a ripoff of early Family Guy's Lois. At the very least, they know that modern Lois is one of the worst characters to come out of animation. Then again, that goes with the entire cast of modern Family Guy. But anyway, I've looked it up, and this is Showtime's fourth ever cartoon. The first being something called Washingtoon, which I couldn't find any information at all. It doesn't even seem like anyone considers it lost media. Second, called Queer Duck, which really, what can you expect from a name like that? And finally, Free for All, which I may get to at some point because it seems interesting enough. Free for All was canceled in 2003, the same year it came out, which was over a decade before Our Cartoon President. What I'm trying to say is Showtime should have really given up on animation at this point. They just don't have it, and that's okay. With the ratings of this show, it even seems like they are losing money. Although maybe not, because this animation is laggy. Also, Donald's two idle facial expressions are both like the worst of his facial expressions. I think you can see a problem with that. You want to know why those Donald Trump skits and SNL work? Because they only last a few minutes at most and don't overstay their welcome. Yes, I do actually believe this could have worked had it been in a skit show or a few minute show played in between other shows. Our Cartoon President is set to have 10 22-minute episodes, which is 220 minutes or over 3 hours of the same joke. This show hasn't been able to reach 1 million views out of the near 23 million subscribers of Showtime, by the way, which means a second season is highly unlikely. Which also means these people are wasting their time on social commentary that they have no clue how to do. I could say more, like how the live action segments fit in as well as an onion does with a bin of apples, but I'd rather go and talk about something more entertaining.